They say betrayal always comes from those you trust the most. I used to believe my brother was the one person in the world who would never hurt me. We weren't just siblings, we were inseparable. Two halves of the same story. I can still see us as kids, running barefoot through the backyard in summer, building forts out of blankets and chairs, whispering secrets we swore we'd take to the grave. He was the one who taught me how to ride a bike, who stood up for me when the neighborhood kids made fun of my glasses. He was my safe place, my anchor, my blood. As we grew older, life pulled us in different directions, but the bond felt unshakable. We didn't talk every day, but when we did, it was as if no time had passed. I trusted him with everything, my fears, my dreams, my plans. And for years, I believed he would always protect me. It started so subtly I almost missed it. He began asking more questions than usual, about my work, my relationships, even my finances. At first, I thought it was just concern. Had always been protective, sometimes overly so. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker of calculation I had never noticed before. I told myself I was imagining things. After all, this was my brother. My blood. At the time, I was working on something deeply personal, a project I had poured my heart into for months. It wasn't just work. It was a piece of me. Something I wasn't ready to share with the world. Only he knew the details. I trusted him with it because I believed he understood how much it meant to me. One evening, my phone rang. It was a man I barely knew, a distant acquaintance. His voice was cheerful, almost smug. "Congratulations," he said. "I heard about your idea. Brilliant move selling it so quickly." My stomach dropped. Selling it? I hadn't sold anything. The next few minutes were a blur. My hands shook as I asked him to explain. And then the truth hit me like a punch to the chest. My brother had sold my idea, my secret, to someone who could profit from it. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just looked at me with this strange mix of guilt and defiance. "I needed the money," he said. "I didn't think it would hurt you this much." Those words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. He didn't think. He didn't care. Or maybe he did, but not enough to stop himself. In the days that followed, the silence between us was deafening. I deleted our photos from my phone. Avoided family gatherings. I couldn't look at him without feeling that sharp twist in my chest, the one that reminded me that the person I trusted most had turned into a stranger. Friends told me to forgive, that family is family, but they didn't understand, it wasn't just the secret he sold. It was the trust, the history, the years of believing we were on the same side. I replayed our conversations in my head, looking for signs I had missed. The way he'd changed the subject when I asked about his own life. The way he'd press for details about mine. The way he'd smile, but his eyes stayed cold. I realized the betrayal hadn't happened in a single moment, it had been building for months, maybe years. Betrayal changes you. It hardens you in ways you don't expect. I became more guarded, more careful about who I let into my inner world. I learned that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty, and that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you should watch the most. And yet, as much as it hurt, I can't say I regret knowing the truth. Because now, I see people for who they are, not who I wish they were. My brother's betrayal closed one chapter of my life, but it also opened another. One where I stand on my own, stronger, wiser, and unwilling to let anyone else write my story for me. But here's the thing about betrayal, it has a way of finding you again. And just when I thought I'd learned my lesson, another one was waiting for me. This time, it didn't come from family. It came from someone I thought I could love. I met him at a time when I was still healing. He was charming, attentive, the kind of person who made you feel like you were the only one in the room. I told myself I'd be careful, that I wouldn't let anyone in too quickly. But walls built from pain have cracks, and he found his way through them. We spent months together, sharing late-night talks, dreams about the future, and quiet moments that felt safe. I started to believe again, in trust, in connection, in the possibility that not everyone was out to take something from me. Then the small lies began. Little inconsistencies in his stories. Missed calls he couldn't explain. I wanted to believe him, so I did. Until the night I found the messages. Dozens of them. To someone else. Words he had once said to me, copied and pasted into another conversation. Promises he had no intention of keeping. The betrayal felt different this time, sharper, because I had promised myself I wouldn't let it happen again. But here I was, staring at proof that I had ignored my own instincts. I ended it quickly, but the damage was done. It wasn't just about him. It was about the pattern. About wondering if I was somehow inviting betrayal into my life. About questioning my own judgment. In the weeks that followed, I thought a lot about trust, how fragile it is, how easily it can be broken, and how hard it is to rebuild. I realized that betrayal doesn't just change how you see others. It changes how you see yourself. But maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. Because with every betrayal, I've learned to listen more closely, not just to what people say, but to what they don't say. To watch their actions, not just their words. To trust my gut, even when my heart wants to believe otherwise. I don't know if I'll ever be the person I was before my brother sold my secret. Maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not meant to go back. Maybe we're meant to become someone new, someone who carries the lessons of the past into the future, but refuses to let them define every step forward. And so, I keep moving. I keep living. I keep telling these stories, not to dwell on the pain, but to remind myself, and anyone listening, that betrayal may break you for a while, but it doesn't have to break you forever. Because in the end, the most important trust you'll ever rebuild is the trust you have in yourself.